We are live. Just checking to see something. Hopefully someone pops in. Okay, came out good. Hey Jesse, good. How are you? Feeling a little better. Feeling a little better. I appreciate. Still got a lot of sinus and phlegm shit. Jay Cortez, how are you? Troy, Sharon, how are you? Margie, how are you? Conscious, how are you, my friend? John Collins, how are you? Here's Janie. How are you, dear? Nick Carroll, how are you, my friend? Hey, Amanda, how are you? I'm sorry I didn't get to text you this week. I've been so sick. Donnie Combs, what's up? James Kaufman. Robert Sharp, how are you, buddy? Hillbilly Grizzly. Jamaris, how are you? Smitty. Oh. Troy, how are you, buddy? Arabic, what's up, my friend? I still got a lot of throat phlegm, nasal, just, I don't know. I feel a little better. I'm just glad I don't have a fever anymore. But not really sure. And it was crazy because right after the New Year's Eve live stream, we got hit with so much snow again. So I'm burning up 102 temp. I had to go out and do my yard, my parents' yard. And it was just like, God dang, is it ever going to give me a break, you know? My doctor gave me something, Aramic, because I went to him again, like the next, actually New Year's Day. I texted him, and he prescribed me something. I don't know if it's Zycom. It works really good. I have to lay down and spray it. I can't like sniff it or whatever. I have to lay it so it like rolls where it wants to go. Lake Superior, how are you? Kimberly Porter, how are you? ATD. Siggy, how are you? Delirium, there you are. Nicola, how are you, my friend? 175. I got some really good stories tonight. I got some banger Lizzos, though. I'm pretty impressed with the Lizzo because when I was snowblowing, I was thinking about Lizzo stories because I only had like a couple of days. And I didn't anticipate in doing any like I was gonna do like one Lizzo for the live stream for New Year's, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with tonight. I'm actually pretty excited about the new year. I'm hoping that things go well. I got freaking Tyler 420 coming on. We're gonna get together on Monday, do an interview. Hercules Mischief or Misfits, how are you? Monkey Crap, how are you? I mean, it's better. Dis, how are you, Dis? Wesley September. Claire, how are you? Oh, that's so good. That is so good. Nicola, that is so good. I can't put Vicks on my I can't put Vicks on my body because I'm allergic to it. I can drink like Vicks Dayquil and NyQuil, but I can't put it on my body. Why is that? Why are you always obsessed with what I wear, Monkey? It's a Gorillas t-shirt. Like, are you like, I don't know, 10? I wear clothes that I like. Ryu, how are you? The netto, is that the thing where you like breathe it in and it like snorts out the snot sucker? It is a dope shirt. I've worn it on the live stream a bunch of times. I don't know. Morning, Nat. How are you? My dad's feeling better than I am. Feeling way better than I am. You're good, monkey. You're good. All right, let's. The fuck was that? Hang on a second. Dude, that was really weird. There's like some sort of loud noise. The kids are sleeping. All right, Aramic, Brian Mons, how are you? Miguel, how are you? Sigenus? There's Julie. How are you, Julie? COVID. I don't know what's worse, the COVID or the flu. Thank you, Aramic. Yeah, he's doing better than I am. I'm like, I can't come near you, but Gavin, yeah, I have the flu type A since New Year's Eve, since the New Year's Eve live stream. So, but let's get this night started. Lindsay Rexanne, welcome to the live stream. Glad that you're here with us. All right, Aramic, this one is for you, my friend, because I always think about you. This is a really old experience I remember as a kid, but this happens a long time. This was a really old encounter I remember as a kid, but it happened a long time ago. Ugh. Can already tell the spelling's or the penmanship is off. When I was in the middle of school and I really went into this, I was really into the supernatural and spiritual stuff, but I had never heard of Mothman before. And so I did a lot of research about the Mothman and back history on what to West Virginia. I even watched part of the movie at a friend's house before they moved out, and will later on, things change later on. Oh my fuck. I remember having a dream about it. I'm literally reading this as it's written. I remember having a dream about it a long time ago and don't remember much on the dream. But I remember driving a car in some dark woods in the middle of nowhere until I heard a screaming noise and saw red glowing eyes coming toward the cars. I remember stopping the car and crawling back into the back and scared of what would happen next. So after that, I saw it in front of the car and just staring at me until it starts to attack the car. And I remember just waking up after that happened. So later on, I remember it was 7 a.m. in the morning, and I still slept until I heard this loud flapping noise on top of my roof where my room was at. All of a sudden it stops and I start to hear something try to get into the room, but it was making scratch noise on top of the roof, and it got worse. Then all of a sudden it got quiet again. Then I heard this high-pitched noise that sounds familiar from a dream in the video I watched a while back. This did not sound like no animal that I had never heard before, and I knew it had to be the Mothman because after hearing that noise, it took off and didn't come back. But ever since then, I never talk about it, and until I told a close friend of mine about it, and he had the same encounter with the creature. But it never makes sense because I don't live in West Virginia and I lived in a small town in Texas, and which somehow got here where I lived. But I see a lot of weird things that happen in town and no one ever notices it, and I am the only one who sees the stuff. I have seen UFOs all the time where I live and even had some alien encounter before, but I don't ever talk about them because They give me bad memory from past. So that was not me. That was how the writing was. It was so fucking annoying. But 5 rings, what's up, brother? And I found that on the internet. That was not from like a subscriber. So if it was from a subscriber, I would have worked it. I would have been like, Natho. Kathy Hayes, how are you? Belle is still sick. Belle stayed in bed all day. Belle slept most of the day, got up, grabbed some water, had some soup, and then went back to bed. Tigger's doing great. Tigger's a madman. Tigger attacked me last night. I got attacked by Tigger last night. Hey, Sonia, how are you? Like, he bit me. So, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I got poke marks here, and then he bit me right there. So, what happened was, I'm trying to get Stormy back in the room because Tigger is being all dominant and trying to bite him in the back of the neck and play like horny hump a lot. So I push Tigger back with a pillow. Now Stormy's on the other side of the couch. So I'm like, all right, I can get him in a second, get this all done. So I go to grab Stormy. Stormy goes under my ottoman of my couch. And Tigger starts to chase after him, so I push him back again. All of a sudden, I move my foot. I step on Stormy's tail by accident. Stormy makes this loud, high-pitched noise, wraps around my ankle, starts biting me in my ankle and scratching me in my ankle. At the exact same time, like this all went down in a 15-second thing. At the exact same time, Tigger makes this fucking weird noise, puffs up and just jumps and lands on my fucking inner thigh and starts chomping at me. And I'm like, dude. So I whacked him with the pillow. Thank God I was fucking on the other side of, thank God the junk was hanging on the other side because he probably would have gotten that. So I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I grab the baby. I run with her. Tigger's chasing me down the hall. It was fucking terrible. What's up, Rhonda? How are you? It was, yeah, you went ballistic. I was like, what the fuck, man? And then he's like, he's all calm after, and he's fucking following me around the house like he's a dog. And I'm afraid of him for like 5 minutes. I'm like, dude, just go away from me. He's such an asshole. Shalom, my friend. Dude, when cats get hurt, they fucking spaz out. Holy smokes. I have never heard of this cryptid or story about this cryptid, but I wanted to share it with you guys. I found it while I was doing some research on an upload that I'm going to be putting out. And it's pretty freaking interesting. It's an older case. It's called The Terrifying Case of the Dawstone Road Demon. In the winter of 1961, in the winter of 1961, a Neston motorist was taken unconscious to the Clatterbridge Hospital after crashing through a 6-foot sandstone wall on Dawstone Road in Haswell. When he regained his senses in the hospital, he had told the surgeon that some horrible devil had appeared on Dawstone Road and he had to try and brake in time, but the entity had been as immovable as a tree and seemed to push the car sideways into the wall. There was not a drop of alcohol in the crash victim's blood, but the same old stock explanations were trotted out in effort to dismiss the man's strange claims. It had to have been a trick of the light. He had hit a fox, he'd momentarily dozed off and dreamed the devil, and so on. The man was discharged from the hospital a few days later, but there were other incidents on Dawstone Road later that year. In March 23rd, Rory, a Walsey man on a motorbike, was traveling down a moonlit Baskerville Road at 11:20 p.m. Upon reaching the junction at Dawstone Road, he saw a towering shadow figure stride out of some bushes, stopping directly in front of him. Rory could not stop in time. The unalivable jaywalker must have been about 7 the handlebars of the motorcycle, which was traveling about 35 miles an hour, and with immense strength, he swung the heavy bike onto the pavement. Rory was thrown against the sandstone wall, and only for the crash helmet the young man wore, the Walsey man's head would have been smashed like an egg against that wall. He was left he was left out cold and recalled something very strange when he was later treated for severe concussions at the hospital. Rory had briefly regained consciousness and had seen this terrifying face of a horned man with pointed ears looking at him with luminous eyes. The apparition, the apparition said something about Rory escaping the pit, and then he blacked out again. This was the second modern encounter with a devil-like entity on Dawstone Road. Further back in time, November 1934, a posse of locals had hunted a demonic entity which had been seen prowling Dawstone Road and was believed to come from a mansion off the road with tall iron gates. Eremic, thank you, my friend. The locals called there, accusing a well-to-do man of sorcery, and he laughingly told the mob that the so-called monster they had seen was nothing more than his broad, wide-chested bulldog, which was escaping from the gardens from the mansion. The story was even reported in the Sunday Mirror, and this article portrayed the locals of the Haswell neighborhood as superstitious fools. But a policeman who had seen the demon asked how a broad bulldog could slip through the bars of a gate of a mansion. The demonic being, described by some as a tall horned creature with immense strength, vanished into obscurity for a few years, but was seen again during the war around 1941. Some were of the opinion that the devil was pure folklore, whilst others, including a respected doctor, believed the thing existed, but a priest who asked to tackle the unearthly being refused to get involved and seemed to suggest that the only thing demonic about this so-called devil was the demon drink that it probably produced. The demon is a catch-all term applied for non-human spirit, which is malicious intentions and tries to control or harm humans by physically attacking them or possessing their bodies and minds. Rockin' steady! Thank you, my friend. The thing that seemed hell-bent, no pun intended, on causing crashes on Dawstone Road still has a question mark hanging over its nature. In 1969, Patrick and Brian, two Haswell men in their 30s, left a party on Delaware Road, and Patrick decided to drive home to South Drive, where his friend Brian also lived. Brian advised his friend to stay overnight at the house on Delaware Road because they were both drunk, but Patrick insisted he was more than capable of making a 5-minute trip in his Hillman Imp. A few minutes into the journey, as the car turned onto Dawston Road, the engine of the car sputtered and the vehicle stalled. Patrick got out of the car and walked unsteadily to the bonnet, and Brian shouted at him, "The engine is back on, or the engine is in the back. I knew you were sloshed." "Simple mistake, mush," replied Patrick. He stopped, steadied himself, and leaned on the roof of the vehicle, then turned and went back to the car, but then he realized he had left the key in the trunk in the Hillman. The key was in the ignition. "Brian, you can't bring me the keys. Can you bring me the keys out?" Patrick shouted, but there was no reply. Patrick heard Brian swear and yell something, and then the Hillman imp went backwards as it had been hit by a car. Patrick was hit by the rear of the vehicle and went flying into the road, got up disoriented, saw his car on the pavement with the passenger door open, and Brian was running off into the distance. As Patrick picked himself up off the cold tarmac, he saw the car's headlights approach and prayed that it was not the police. It was a Jaguar driven by Bernie, a friend of Patrick's who was at the same party. Bernie had saw the Hillman imp on the pavement and asked what was going on. Patrick said, "That idiot Brian must have started the car and put it in reverse. I was behind it. The car hit me as it went backwards." Bernie checked the car and saw the engine was still dead and in neutral, not reverse. Bernie knew little about cars, but said a loose wire on the solenoid had caused the problem about the Hillman imp not running. A few following day at 2 p.m., Brian, "Conscious, thank you so much." Brian called around Patrick and said a terrifying thing. A tall man in black with horns, red glowing eyes, had appeared in front of the Hillman imp last night. And as Patrick had been asking for the keys to the trunk, the creature had pushed the car backward with terrific strength. Patrick could not accept the story and accused Brian of causing what could have been a fatal accident by meddling with the gear stick. But Brian said he would be prepared to swear on a stack of Bibles to prove he was telling the truth. In 2010, a nurse called into a radio program to say one morning at around 5:30 a.m. in 1978, after a grueling night shift, she had been driving home via Dawson Road and had seen a man who looked like he was wearing a black leathery one-piece suit with a pair of horns standing in the road. Nearby in the road, there was a hole about 10 feet across, and a reddish light was shining from it. The nurse thought there was a fire in the hole and gave a wide berth as she drove around it. The window in the car was down a few inches. The nurse passed the bizarrely dressed man and the hole with the fire in it. She heard a ghastly cacophony of what sounded like people screaming and wailing, and the sound seemed to be coming from the hole. So obviously it's in England, but I've never heard of some sort of demonic entity like that, and it's pretty cool. Tired tonight. I'm gonna email him when I get off the live and wish him a happy new year and stuff. So I usually share books with you. Got a new book this week, The Philadelphia Experiment, Murder. No, I'm not feeling any better. Thank you though, Sean. I appreciate it. Smitty, thank you so much. So this book, Philadelphia Experiment, Murderer, beginning with the rumors of 1943, the legend of the Philadelphia Experiment has now grown to the point where it has captured the imagination of an entire generation. Decades past, science fiction pursued the cutting edge of consciousness with the quest to transcend the speed of light and engage the culture of outer space. Today, the Philadelphia Experiment has become humanity's prime example in the effort to understand how consciousness interfaces with the cold, hard quantum facts of life. It has long since been established by science that parallel universes exist. The problem has been that no one knows how to penetrate or experience them save for the testimony of those who have been labeled insane. The Philadelphia Experiment, Murder, Parallel Universe, and the Psychics of Insanity brings the entire new view to the horizon. Prompted by vigorous and thorough investigation of circumstances surrounding the murder of Bill Schneider, parallel worlds come into focus through the study of nature and insanity itself. So this book is all about the murder of Phil Schneider and everything that he had like documented and stuff. It has some like really cool stuff in it. I ordered the book like a month ago, but I'm wicked stoked about it. Pops, how are you? It does sound like a great book. What's up, Jordy? How are you, my friend? I was shocked because I have never heard of that book ever. And when I found it, I was like, dude, I got to get this book. Like, they are talking about, I mean, the government tells us that he unalived himself, but I mean, nah, we all know he didn't. Pups, I'm glad that you're here with us. Thank you. How about a Lizzo story? Here's the irony. The less hates my Trump but also imports to murders from Venezuela. Ah, dude, that was a hellified freaking. No, I haven't. Rockin' Steady. That was a pretty crazy operation they did. In and out in an hour. That. Nobody hurt. All right, let's find out what I got for you guys. This one's a little different. This one, I tried to do a little something different. This is the one I thought about when I was snowblowing right after the New Year's Eve live stream. And for those of you that are new to the live streams, these are the only fictional tales that I create for this channel. I just do it because it came off as a joke, like we were talking about like what the most dangerous cryptid is, and randomly I just shot out lot lizards, and so it's just been a thing since. So let me put my hat back on. All right. It was a humid, muggy August night at the Crossroads truck stop, where the neon sign flickered like a dying firefly and the scent of stale fry grease mixed with cheap perfume and diesel fumes. This was Lizzo's kingdom. Lizzo wasn't just a lot lizard. She was the czarina of the cab, the satin-clad sovereign of the sleeper berth, the undisputed queen of a 24-hour grease pit where lonely truckers came to refuel, eat cold meatloaf, and sometimes, just sometimes, find a little midnight solace. She ruled with a stiletto heel and a voice that would melt steel. Part Aretha, part Cobra, all sass. Her leopard print halter top was a statement, her eyeshadow a weapon, and her heart, well, it belonged to one man, Earl Old Slowburn Thompson, a 450-mile-a-day long hauler with a belly like a sack of feed and a soul so soft, Lizzo secretly called him her little butter biscuit. But Earl had a problem. Not a medical issue, not a tax problem. No, Earl had a weakness for the illegal, the absurd, and the fermented, especially when it came from the bootleggers who entire yard behind the shop, Satan and his lover Saddam Hussein, aka the boys from hell and the Middle East. No one knew their real names. The rumor has it that they were cousins, Satan from Tennessee, Saddam from Tulsa. They bonded over a mutual love of moonshine, the book of Revelation, and the fact that both had been kicked out of the Sons of Anarchy Legion for excessive interpretive dancing. Every anniversary, they brewed a new batch of apocalypse hooch, A corn-based elixir so strong it made your teeth vibrate and your soul question its life choices. Today, this was their second wedding anniversary. They were legally married in a drive-through chapel during a thunderstorm. It was symbolic. So Earl, feeling romantic and slightly idiotic, bought a pint. Lizzo, baby, this is the unofficial 6-month mark. I got us a little something, he slurred, waving the jar like it was a holy grail. Lizzo, applying lip gloss in the rearview mirror of her '69 Mustang, raised one perfectly sculpted brow. Earl jar's bubbling like a science fair volcano. That ain't love, that's a biohazard. But Earl did not listen. He downed 3 big gulps like it was a Gatorade after a marathon. 15 minutes later, he was singing Amazing Grace in a Klingon and trying to hump a parking meter. Lord have mercy, Lizzo muttered, dragging him behind the diner. You need to pee and pray, boy. And I mean immediately. She shoved him toward the shadows behind the dumpster where the raccoons fought like Roman gladiators, and the smell of old ketchup packets hung in the air like regret. Earl staggered off, muttering about interdimensional truckers and whether Jesus drove a Peterbilt. And that was when he saw her, towering over the cigarette machine graveyard, shrouded in moonlight and the fog of Earl's rapidly dissolving sobriety, stood a figure so massive, so majestic, and, well, so hairy, Earl thought he'd achieved spiritual enlightenment. She was an 8-foot tall, broad shouldered, with a cascade of chestnut fur and eyes that glowed like ember headlights. She wore, yes, wore, a frayed denim vest, no shirt, combat boots mismatched, and a pair of aviator sunglasses. On her waist, a charm bracelet with tiny skulls. To Earl, in his moonshine-addled state, she looked exactly like Lizzo, if Lizzo had been blessed by a werewolf and then hit with a growth ray. Lizzo, he hiccuped, taking a wobbly step forward. Baby, you look fuller, more wisdom. He didn't wait for a response. Overcome with love and fermented corn, he lunged forward, grabbing her massive shoulders and planted a wet, sloppy kiss right on her furry lips. The kiss lasted approximately 3 seconds before the world exploded. Because, oh yeah, Lizzo had just stepped out back with the trash bag full of greasy napkins, wearing her I will end you heels and a scowl that would wither a cactus. And she saw it. She saw everything. Earl, her butter biscuit, slobbering on a creature that looked like Chewbacca's mom after a bad divorce. What in the name of God and good posture is happening? Lizzo bellowed, dropping the trash bag like it offended her. Earl blinked. Lizzo, wait, no, you're both Lizzo? Twinning? The big female Bigfoot, later revealed to be Sasha, a peaceful cryptid, who had just come down from the Ozarks to try a milkshake, stepped back, embarrassed. Ma'am, she mumbled, voice like a velvet dragged across the gravel. I swear on my grandmother's lice comb, I did not initiate this. Lizzo was not listening. She marched forward, grabbing Earl by the ear, which squeaked like a dog toy, and dragged him across the gravel like a disobedient raccoon. You dare cheat on me with a Bigfoot? We haven't even had our first fight. We haven't even discussed our future. I wasn't cheating, Earl whimpered. I thought she was you. She looked wisdomer. Lizzo paused. Wisdomer? She's got life experience. I respect it. Lizzo growled and smacked him once hard on the back of the head. You're drunker than a possum in a pickle jar. Get in the truck. And so she did what any queen would do. She hauled Earl into the sleeper cabin, stripped off his boots, tucked him in with a floral patterned blanket stolen from a Holiday Inn at Amarillo, and tucked a plastic Jesus keychain under his pillow for protection. She took a deep breath and came back out. Sasha was still there, leaning against the dumpster, sipping on a chocolate milkshake through a comically large straw. Lizzo studied her. The creature was not aggressive. In fact, she looked shy and oddly fashionable. That denim vest was vintage. You want to smoke? Lizzo pulled out a pack of menthols. Sasha nodded. Only if you got a light. My flint's in the shop. They sat on two overturned crates behind the diner, sharing a cigarette and silence under the flickering neon of the Muffler Man sign. You know, Lizzo said, that man in there, he kissed you like you were the last woman on earth. Sasha chuckled. He kissed me like a man who had ate bad meat. Lizzo burst out laughing, loud, throaty, unapologetically. Oh, honey, you ain't seen nothing. Last week he tried to propose to a cheese Danish. He's a doofus, Sasha said. But he's your doofus. I can tell. You got that look. What look? That I'd kill for him. And I'm too busy to do my eyeliner look. Lizzo grinned. You got perspective. Lived 200 years in the mountains, Sasha said, and learned to read eyes. Also, I eavesdrop on survivalists. They talk a lot. They talk for hours about men, how they like Wi-Fi, always there, never strong enough when you need them. About power. Sasha once scared a militia into relocating by moonwalking at them in the fog. About beauty standards, hair confidence, Sasha said. They call me monster. I call myself fabulous. By 3 a.m., they were swapping nail polish. Sasha loved Blood Ruby. Lizzo preferred Ho Can't Breathe Red. And planning a girl trip to the Jersey Shore. Bring your fur, Lizzo said. We'll call you Aunt Sasha from Canada. Nobody questions Canadians. Then Earl stumbled out, barefoot, wrapped in a Confederate flag blanket donated by Satan and Saddam as a wedding gift. Lizzo, did I marry Bigfoot? Is this polygamy? Am I a cult leader? Lizzo stood, towering her heels. Earl, you kissed a cryptid, passed out, and dreamed about being in a boy band with two dictators. You are many things. A cult leader is none of them. Sasha stood up too, gently placing a massive furry hand on Earl's shoulder. Don't worry, Earl. I don't kiss on the first night unless the guy's a decent dancer. You were enthusiastic, Earl blinked. I could walk. See, Sasha said. Potential. Lizzo rolled her eyes. Lord, give me the strength, or at least a stronger drink. The next morning, the truck stop returned to normal. Sizzling griddles, honking horns, and the usual parade of sinners and saints. Satan and Saddam Hussein showed up with their Reddit wings made out of melted hubcaps. Earl got baptized again at the Speedway Chapel. And Sasha, well, she left at dawn, waving goodbye from the top of a cliff overlooking I-40, wearing a pair of donated sunglasses and a new leather fanny pack full of lip balm and beef jerky. Lizzo stood by her Mustang, sipping sweet tea, grinning like a woman who survived the weirdest night of her life. Next anniversary, she muttered. We're getting dinner, and Earl's drinking water. But deep down, she knew her world was never going back to normal. Because once you've had cocktails with Bigfoot, shared secrets in the moonlight, and laid the smackdown on a drunken trucker for kissing a cryptid, you've already ascended. And Lizzo, the queen of the lot, mother of chaos, and now unofficial ambassador to the hidden world. She was just getting started. Oh. That was pretty good. I just wanted to do something different. I was getting sick of her always fighting somebody, so I was like, fuck it. Thank you, guys. Jigger, how are ya? I've wore the shirt 100 times, 59th, and the glasses. You ain't new to the channel. Thank you, Rosie. Oh, all right, let's see. I saw, I believe it was 175 that wanted a Bigfoot story or a Dogman story. So here you go, buddy. Ugh. I grew up in the small foothills of eastern Kentucky where folklore and stories of haints and mountain monsters are rampant. No, I've already read this one. I'll read it later. I've read that before. Fuck, sorry. Hang on. I know I got a better one. Recent encounter. Is that it? Yep, here it is. Okay. On Monday, October 18th, 2021, midday, I took my 7 and 2.5-year-old sons to a state park 1.5 miles from the road from my house. Rocks State Park, Hidden Valley area. The park is small, 4 parking spots and a half-mile trail that follows the creek. The trail ends at a fork in the creek with a beachhead about 20 feet long. 6 people would be a crowd. Both of my sons are familiar with the park as it is a rotation of 3 parks we choose to go to on our little hike once a week. The trail is moderate with some inclines, natural obstacles, and occasional narrowing due to lack of maintenance. My eldest son is comfortable being about 50 feet ahead of me while I pace my youngest. Nothing is out of the ordinary. Just a normal hike, my eldest reaches the beach ahead of us about 15 to 20 seconds. We approach the creek beach, and my youngest is on my left, starting to mess with rocks and throwing them into the creek. My oldest is 15 feet to my right, messing with some rocks and throwing them as well. I bend down to cuff my pant leg, and I hear a blood-curdling scream from my oldest. I look up at him, and he's screaming, falling backwards, feverishly kicking his legs. I follow his line of sight across the creek. Perched on a large flat rock is an animal I did not understand. It was no more than 25 feet away, and its dimensions seemed so large that it looked as if it could leap across the creek in one stride. A barreled chest with clear defined pectoral muscles, shoulders, and biceps, no different than a man. Just a stubby snout like a hyena. It looked as it was in a sprinter's starting position, not in an animal all fours. Its thighs and hind end were noticeably large. The mass this animal was unnatural. The ears faced forward with hair tufts on the side and tops of the head. The face looked as it was on high alert, similar to when your dog has quick head movements because you are getting ready to throw a ball. It kept switching between my son, screaming, falling backwards into the trail, running ahead, and me screaming, picking up my other son. As I'm frantically trying to get between it and my first son, it almost looks as it was in a lunging position that were backing up. My perspective was head on before turning into the trail. I get to him, and we are out of a direct line of sight. I yell to son number 1 to run. The weirdest thing would happen. My 7-year-old would start sprinting and crying, and after 30 feet, he would turn around almost in a complete daze, not understood what's happening. And then I'd have to yell at him again to run. He would run, crazy cry, dazed, stop. This happened 3 times. I still don't understand how shock or fear could do that. The creature did not follow us, thank God. The thoughts going through my head I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies. It was only time in my life where I knew I could not protect my children. I had a buck knife on my hip, and it was no better than a pillow to this thing. The moment I told my 7-year-old he might have to take his younger brother's hand and get back to the car as fast as they could, left a deep scar in my mind than this unexplainable animal could. I apologize for shit story structure and horrible grammar. Even though there was no mistaking what I had witnessed, it doesn't matter. Trying to explain this to anyone is pointless. I like to think I am considerably self-aware, itself to debunk what I saw. I was undoubtedly afraid, but my focus was crystal clear. kids, safety at all costs. I was laser focused on my surroundings and what was in it. None of my emotions distorted my vision or made me misinterpret this creature or my surroundings. Oh. What's up, Key West? How are you? Oz Patriot. Bang, how are you, my friend? So glad that you're here. Thank you, Rock and Steady. Matt Fury, how are you, brother? We got about 8 inches, I'd say. Which it was plus it was cold as like it was 16 degrees, 9 degrees. It's been like ice cold. Danny, how are you, buddy? Walter. Yeah, it's a bad cold, buddy. It is bad. You missed one Lizzo story, Karen. Probably the best one I ever wrote. I'm glad that you're here with us, Danny. Glad that you're here. Yeah, it's what is it now? It's actually warmed up. This we're in a warm spell right now. It's 29. Oh, yeah, I this winter being cold, getting cold. Um, yeah, I got the flu type A. Um, when I got sick, I literally thought about moving to warmer temperatures. I was like, I just want to move. Like literally, New Mexico popped in my head. I was like, I'll fucking buy like a little ranch or something, like just a little fucking ranch house in the middle of the desert, just me and Tigger. Of course, Belle will follow me. I live in the Adirondacks, Hercules. Type A, I said, monkey. Flu type A. Me and Belle. Belle has laryngitis, though. Oh. I hear you. That's what's holding me back, Wesley. New Mexico. I just because I'm obsessed with the state. I'm obsessed with the state. And it's centrally located too. I can get to anywhere from there pretty much, Like everything's around there. You got Colorado, Arizona, Utah, California. It's all like within not bad of a spitting distance. I don't know what type B is. I just know there's type A. That's what I was thinking, Pops. I thought about getting like a camper thing, like getting a hooked up camper. I'm like saying fuck the house and just buying like one of those road houses. Living me and Tigger just cruising around in the roadhouse, doing freaking my research from my roadhouse. That'd be so awesome. Like drive to Dulce, be like, "What's up?" Drigas, how are you? It doesn't feel good. Oh yeah, buddy, Matt, that's pretty crazy. I've heard that. Whereabouts? I'm in the Adirondacks, Lindsay. Little town right below Lake George. I'm in the foothills. Oh, I'm just gonna ignore you, Monkey, because you always ask the same question. I wouldn't do that, SDL. I would never do a show. I would never do a show on History Channel or Discovery because they're all like bullshit, you know? And the only show I would want to be associated with would be one with Josh Gates in it. That's the only thing I'd want to do is like something with Josh, you know? Because Josh Gates is the fucking man. I don't care. Like, I don't like. I think when people go on those shows, they're kind of sell out for like the money or the fame, the notoriety. But Josh Gates is like a straight up investigator. Like he's a researcher. You know. There we go. That's better. GTV is great. I love that. I've been a like fan of that for years. No, he's a wicked nice guy. I got introduced to him by Claudia Ackley, and I talked to him um, on the phone one night. Him, and Claudia did. January 16th, 2004, 3:15 a.m. Leonardo Semengo, a police officer from Guatemala, was attacked by a mysterious flying humanoid. Officer Semengo had been making his usual patrol in his patrol car around Colonial Ves de la Sala when some large black object appeared to leap from a tree next to the street and turn to face the police car. Puzzled, the police officer turned his lights on high beam and saw a living nightmare. What had fallen or leapt from the tree was a woman dressed in black, who didn't really touch the street. She was just floating several feet above the ground. As the police officer's eyes widened in disbelief, the woman's two large black eyes, totally without lids, began seemed bothered by the patrol car's headlights, and she held up her cape in attempt to protect them. Next, because she was angered by the patrol car's interference with her nocturnal activities, or because the officer appeared a likely victim, the witch jumped onto the vehicle and tried to get at him by breaking the windshield. The police officer put his automobile in reverse, trying his best to escape the attack. Later, in his official testimony to the bizarre events of the evening, Officer Semingo said that the witch had flown violently at his windshield, trying to drive her hands through the glass and grab him. Again, he described her as having large black eyes, seemingly with no eyelids. In Santiago Yaturo's translation of Officer Semingo's testimony to Jeff Rentz, a policeman, described the woman as having dark brown skin. Her expression was horrible as she tried to get to the police officer with her claws. The police officer kept his car in reverse, desperately attempting to call for backup. When his vehicle struck the end of the street, he was so frightened that he had covered his eyes to escape the view of the ghastly attacker. When he opened his eyes, he saw the horrible being still clawing at the windshield. He had fainted due to high stress. Several minutes later, when two police units arrived together with an ambulance, the officers found him unconscious but uninjured, perhaps because he had remained in the vehicle. He had regained consciousness as he was being treated by paramedics in the ambulance. During the investigation of the strange incident, a police officer from Santa Catarina and two other officers from the Regia Force admitted that they had seen the same flying creature that the original police officer had encountered. However, they had sighted the witch with black dress and cape 3 days earlier, but had decided not to come forward with a report of such a flying creature for fear of embarrassment. As the case continued to gain notice and credence from other police officers, a number of residents told interviewers that they too had seen this flying monster in the daylight as well as the late evening hours. Norma Elisa Herrera, who lives in Colonia La Playa, declared that she and her brother also saw the mysterious flying humanoid at daytime and that it looked weird. She said that her brother was so stunned by the sighting he had been sick for almost a week afterward. Shut up your face. How are you? There's Simone. How are you, Simone? Yeah, I feel like shit. Brother about 8 went back to trade. Huh. Oh. I imagine so, Matt. Aramik! Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for being here. Yeah. There was Dogman in the Adirondacks. He actually, me and him tracked one night. Thank you, Aramik. You are truly a champion of this channel, my friend. That's right, Rockin' Steady. Oh. Well, and caffeine. I bet you did, Matt. I bet you did. The Adirondacks has got some weird shit. Dad's doing better. My dad's better than I am, SDL, but thank you for asking. Absolutely 59th. I do, MJ Bates. I do tonight. What time is it? The Shari Mansion, located in Mission, Texas, is one of Rio Grande Valley's most iconic landmarks, built in the early 1900s by John H. Shari, often called the father of the Texas citrus industry. The mansion was once a symbol of wealth and success in the region. Over the years, however, it has become a subject of chilling paranormal tales. Locals claim the land surrounding the mansion carries an unsettling energy. Stories have circulated for decades about ghostly figures drifting near the orchard, strange lights flickering in the distance, and phantom cars appearing out of nowhere. Some visitors describe hearing footsteps and clanking sounds along the fence line, even when no one is around. Whether these encounters are connected to the property's long history, the Sherry family's legacy, or something older tied to the land itself, the mansion has earned a reputation as one of South Texas's eeriest haunts. It was back in 1986 when my friend Ernie, Mario, and Joe decided to park across the mansion. I still remember the night. We were in 11th grade. We were drinking by the fence line near the orchard, where you could see the dirt road. There were not any streetlights, but the moon was bright that night. We were jamming to some music, drinking, when suddenly we heard the clanking noises. I lowered the music and saw a lantern and a white figure moving swiftly towards us from the end of the road. Coming in from the side of the orchards, I shouted, "Let's get out of here." As we scrambled to get into the car, the figure moved faster and suddenly transformed into a white dog racing towards us. I jumped through the open car window and remember yelling, "Did you guys see what happened to that old man?" Thinking back, I will never forget that moment. I've lived all my life in McAllen, Texas, and I have had two other experiences. One in old Edenburg, Texas cemetery, and another where the McDonald's now stands at Pekin and Ware Road. There used to be a house there where my wife once lived. Thank you. Uh-oh. I'll try to find it, MJ. How about a crawler story? I got a crawler story for us for right now. Oh. I do need sleep. I'm good though right now. Morning, Daz. How are you? I got every season of Pee Wee's. Haha, that's great. Shit. I'm not really sure, Walter. Pretty fast, though. There's something oh, shit. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. So, remember the connection that I made the other night with the China Lake facility, the naval facility? And we were talking like last week, not the live stream on Thursday, but last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago. But we were talking about how the Navy can move submarines under the tunnels and stuff. And I did an upload talking about it, the information that I found. Well, I have some fucking crazy information. I'm going to do an upload this week on a 411 that actually turned into a government cover-up after they found the bodies in China Lake region, right by the naval base. And it goes along with the crawlers that had been seen near the base. Marcy, how are you? Yeah, but I couldn't do the live stream from bed. That'd be funny though. It was August 2016. A close friend of mine had bought 15 acres of woods in central Maine, and they invited me to live on the property in exchange for helping them grow some cannabis. I lived there all summer, and my bedroom was an old dead school bus that had converted into a cute little house. We had 7 people total on the land, and everyone was hanging out in the community house, a double wide trailer. They were watching movies and playing board games. It was only about 9 p.m., but I was tired from work, so I said goodnight and began. It was very dark. The moon was not up yet. I was barefoot with no flashlight, but it wasn't a far walk, and I knew I could navigate with my feet. As I passed by the weed garden, I heard a noise like crunch, crunch, crunch. The driveway was clear of leaves and brush, so the rustling was definitely the sound of something stepping out from the woods and directly into my path. For a half a second, I thought it was an animal, but my stomach formed a knot when I realized that those steps had sounded distinctly bipedal. My eyes had been looking at my feet, but they shot upward when I heard that noise. Before me stood a creature. I don't remember seeing its legs, probably because my eyes shot up so fast and I was so stunned. It stood maybe 6 feet in front of me, and it stood about 7 feet in height. When my eyes shot up, I was facing its chest, and I had to raise my eyes a little higher to see its face. When I saw the face, I had the wind knocked completely out of me. The creature was whitish, not glowing, but its skin looked exactly like pale skin under moonlight. Remember, though, the moon is not out yet. The form was pretty humanoid, but very tall and skinny. It had no clothing. I saw a bare chest, slender arms, and the shape of its head. I don't remember ears. I remember holding its gaze for a moment, searching for my eyes and seeing nothing. No distinguishing eyes, face, or mouth, but the face definitely had ridges and contour. I think maybe it did have facial features, but they were so subtle or sunken in that I couldn't make them out. Anyway, the sight of its face knocked the wind out of me. My eyes fell to the ground. They felt forced to the ground. I couldn't bear to look at it. It stood perfectly still while I gasped for air for a moment. I wanted to scream, but I had no air. I felt paralyzed in fear. Simone, thank you so much. Paralyzed in fear. I took a moment to do some deep inhaling and deep exhaling. I looked at its face again. It stood motionless, watching me. I then turned on my heel and ran to the community house as fast as I could, screaming. My friends suggested perhaps I had come face to face with a person who was scoping out the weed garden to steal from it. This is common here, and the garden was flowering, so it was really stinky, and the locals would have definitely noticed. The part I can't answer, though, is why would a robber walk right up to me? I don't know. I consider myself a skeptic, and I think it's possible that my mind was playing tricks on me. But then again, I have never been afraid of the dark or anything like that. I told my friends this experience, and he said that I should share it with you guys. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to share. This is my strangest experience of my life. Okay, fucking Arabic. Oh, Arabic, that was too funny, buddy. Oh. Ah. Rocking steady. I will. I'll sleep good tonight, buddy. Thank you. I'll probably sleep in for a little bit. I'm not going to end the live stream yet. It's too early. I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling like, other than the cough, I feel all right. Last night I was hot. My eyes were like bright, bright red. I can't do it tonight, DB Mac. I can't blow into the horn tonight. He loved it. He loved it. John, did you hear me thank you for it on the live stream for on New Year's? Damage, you're not late. You're here. He loved it. He said thank you. Eli, how are you, buddy? I promise that I will do it next week. Double hard for you, buddy. DB Mac, but I just can't. I cannot blow it. I will kill myself on that. I'll just fucking probably hack a phlegm globber out of it. Eli, thank you so much. And yes, $20 is $20. Delirium. Dude, I have a video. Hang on, Delirium. I have a video that I'm going to share with you guys this week. That's from Delirium's backyard. And it is fucking creepy. Like, he caught something, and I don't know what it is. I have never heard the woods act like it. And his dog is out there with him. And his dog does not seem fazed by it. It's so weird, man. Such a good video. $20 is 25 in Canada. Holy shit, that's funny. That is funny, buddy. Damn. Oh, Hollow Days, how are you? I hope you don't either, buddy. I hope you don't either. Good night to you, Delirium. Oh, shit. The events of this experience took place in the fall of 2007 on Country Estates Drive, Tyler, Texas. Within the Holiday Farms edition, what began as a typical evening in the quiet neighborhood soon spiraled into something far more chilling. I noticed my neighbor and his son shooting a pellet gun into a tree near the fence line that separated our yards. Curiosity got the better of me, so I hopped the fence to see what was going on. As soon as I stepped into their yard, I saw something strange perched high into the treetop on my side of the fence with was a being with glowing red eyes watching us. Something was all off about the whole scene. My neighbors were acting strange, speaking to me in broken English, as if struggling to find the right words. It's a wish. It's a witch, one of them muttered nervously, and somebody wants to hurt you. I felt uneasy, but defensive. I quickly returned to my own yard, unsettled by the eerie encounter. As I got closer to my house, I heard strange noises coming from inside, where a friend of mine had been helping me earlier that day. I couldn't put my finger on what was wrong, but something was definitely not right. Feeling paranoid and needing to clear my head, I climbed up onto the roof. From there, I had a view of the surrounding woods. As I sat in the cool night air, I saw someone emerge from the shadows of the tree. It moved slowly at first, walking cautiously, but when it noticed me watching from the rooftop, it turned and fled back into the woods. At the time, I thought maybe someone was playing tricks, perhaps someone in a ghillie suit or someone who knew how to climb trees and had long hair that could match a silhouette of what I saw. But later, after watching Mothman Prophecies, I started to wonder if what I had seen that day had something to do something else entirely. My neighbor, before he vanished, later told me in fractured English that what he saw wasn't a person at all. It was a creature, a being that had flown like a bird and landed in the treetops. He never spoke about it again, and one day he just simply left. I haven't seen him since, though his family still lives next door. But I'll never forget the terror in his eyes when he looked at that thing. It was fear that chilled me to the bone. Andy Davis, how are you, buddy? Ermic, you are the master of dad jokes. Be careful with the Ouija board after. They are a very dangerous little device. I'm not even going to respond to that one, Aramek. Jesus. Dude, you're just setting yourself up for damage, buddy. You're just setting yourself up for damage on that joke. For an 18-hour small, man, that's going to be so fucking good. Damn. Dude, I wish I was in your neck of the woods. I'd come over tomorrow for dinner. I'd bring some Dr. Pepper. Yeah, buddy. Dr. Pepper and some brisket. Shit. No, I don't believe that dogmen are dogs, conscious wanderer. Thank you, Jason Finch. Howdy, y'all. Hee-haw. Donuts. Donuts are good, though. Damn. I did not know that Dr. Pepper was uh, root beer and Coke. Well, I mean, I think they look like a dog. They look like a dog, but I mean, I don't think. I think they're an alien breed of something, like the Sumerians believed as well. Like the Cynocephali were a tribe of peaceful beings at one point until humans fucked with them enough, like we always do. So, Johnny Ohm, be good. You're not on a diet, buddy. You just got to be calm. I don't think they were Anunnaki, Pat. I think they were something else, some other breed of alien. You're fine, Aramek. You're never an asshole. Dr. Pepper has prunes in it. You're absolutely right, Cherry. You're absolutely right. Well, see, here's why I believe that they were aliens, right? Is because Anubis, being a god in Egyptian mythology, when people of antiquity would see things that they didn't understand, they were either gods or demons, right? So they prompted him like he was a god. Now, he was probably like the Sumerians were like 500 years before the Egyptians. So they had wrote about them first. And I believe that like they had come from a portal and showed up one day and they were probably like, what the fuck is that? That doesn't look like us. Oh shit, look how much power it's got. It's very strong. It can do this, it can do that. Do you know any stories I've done open camp indoors? Um, they can open doors, yeah. I don't have any stories like right offhand right now, but thank you, Rocket Steady. Oh my god. Dude, what the hell? Yes, yes, Heather. They've opened doors. There was actually a hunter, not a hunter, but there was a kid that lived in a camper behind his mom and dad's house, and he was kind of slow. And they, of course, blamed it on a bear. I did a upload on it like back in 2021 when it happened. Um, it had opened the door and pretty much there was blood all throughout the house or all throughout the camper, scratch marks on the door, and he was never found again. Um, I don't remember offhand what his name was, but yeah, it was pretty intense story, pretty sad story. I live in a nice suburb in Virginia, and I have a nearby large pond which serves as the center of a large bike trail. It's a man made pond, and it's quite large, not large enough to call it a lake. Years ago, when I was younger, I would often take that bike trail to fish at the pond when, on occasion, I saw something in the water. At first, I thought it was a snapping turtle, as there are many in that pond. It was brown, round, and slowly making its way towards the shore toward me. Suddenly, it jumped out of the water at high speed, landed near me. If I remember correctly, it looked like a horseshoe crab like creature without the long tail. It quickly scurried back into the water. Obviously, there are no crustaceans in a freshwater man made pond, let alone any that could jump like that. To this day, I have no explanation on this experience. Is Janie going to bed? Janie, love you. Thank you for being here with us. All right. It's time for another Lizzo story. Rock lobster. Lobster. Thank you, Janie. I hopefully will by next week. Conscious Wander, ironically enough, no, I don't think catnip works on cryptid. Cryptids just because they say it's a cat man or a dog man, they're not. It's like no, but I have a cat man experience tonight. All right, here we go. Second to last Lizzo story. The last Lizzo story is probably one of the second best ones that I've ever written. I'm pretty happy with it too. Here we go. On the scorched edge of the Texas panhandle, where the tumbleweeds whisper secrets, and the only thing hotter than the sun is Lizzo's temper, sits the Golden Grease Pit, a truck stop so isolated it's basically in its own zip code. By day, it's a pit stop for diesel, stale pie, and whispered deals. By night, well, let's just say the only thing more legendary than Lizzo's chicken wings are the stories about how she runs her kingdom of grease and grit. Lizzo was not your average truck stop queen. She was a 6 foot tall woman with scales, literally scales, green, glossy things that shimmered under the neon diner lights like a used car in a drought. The truckers called her Lot Lizard Queen, a nickname she wore like a diamond studded trucker hat, her crown. A twisted hanger of sequins glued to it. Her power, the ability to make a man blush just by a wink. Well, I'll better pray that thunder's just the weather, Lizzo muttered, polishing a frying pan like it was the Hope Diamond. Outside, the sky bruised purple, and the air reeked of ozone and bad decisions. Earl, her boy toy and part-time trucker, rolled into the parking lot in his paint-chipped rig, honking like a maniac. He was built like a refrigerator with a tattoo problem and a smile that said, "I'm trouble, but at least I'm cute." "You ain't seen nothing yet," Earl said, slamming his palm on the diner's counter. "This storm's got a mean spirit. I saw a Bama trucker swear up and down a lightning bolt tried to rap on his cab window." Lizzo snorted, flipping a green pancake. "If hell's a comin', I'm opening the annex." As if on cue, the storm hit, black clouds swirling like a toilet clog with nightmares. Winds howled through the parking lot, and the power died with a pop. Then came the pecking. At first, everyone thought it was a stray rooster on meth. Then they saw the claws. The creature burst from the thunderbolts, screeching like a jet engine choked on catnip. It stood 12 feet tall, feathers the color of dried blood, horns curving like truck springs, and a beak that could crack a beer bottle. It pecked the trucker's hat right off the man's head, then ate the man. Chaos erupted. Prostitutes by day, swordswomen by night. Tiana flung a pepper spray at the beast, only for it to laugh, a sound like gravel in a blender. Earl swerved his truck into the creature's leg, buying time for the staff to regroup. Everyone listen up, Lizzo's voice cut through the mayhem. Calm as poker face. Y'all's paychecks depend on this. We turned hell into a special. She grabbed a chainsaw from behind the counter, its blade adorned with pink rhinestones for luck. Earl, you're with me. Tatiana, round up the girls. We need firepower. The prostitutes, ever resourceful, grabbed whatever they doubled as a weapon: whips, serving trays, and a very confused tire iron. The remaining truckers realized their next meal was either demon chicken or demon chicken plus its insides. Grabbing chains and fire extinguishers, Lizzo's plan was simple: lure the chicken into the deep fryer. His engine, chainsaw in hand, drove circles around the creature, honking a taunt. The chicken gave chase, pecking chunks out of his bumper. I'm not a taxi, Earl yelled, swerving into the fuel pump. Meanwhile, Lizzo scaled the diner's roof, scaling, pun intended. The beast, with the precision of a woman who knew every crack in her property. You ain't no Texas bird, she hissed, leaping onto its back. Your dinner. The chicken shook her off, but Tatiana and the girls pounced, wrapping its legs in a tow rope and spraying it with cayenne pepper. The creature roared, flailing and crashing into the diner's grease pit. Now, Lizzo screamed. The truckers flooded the area with sand, creating a makeshift crust, while Lizzo herself slammed the final nail into the sledgehammer labeled for emergency wing conversations only. Battered and triumphant, the group stood over the immobilized chicken, its screeches now more a wheeze than a war cry. Earl, covered in goop and guts, clapped. Y'all just defeated the devil's own friar. Told you I could turn hell into a special, Lizzo said, wiping her brow with a napkin that said, World's okayest boss. By sunset, the truck stop smelled of triumph and barbecue. The chicken was now deboned, spiced with demonic flair, sizzled in a cauldron the size of a tractor tire. Lizzo's scales glistened with sweat and glory. Served the meal like a general rewarding her troops. Earl took the first bite and blinked. Mmm, this has character, like a bad breakup on a road trip. The prostitutes cheered, clinking their soda cans with truckers who had earned their savior story. Even the ghosts of the defeated chicken seemed content, their spirits probably just looking for the afterlife. As the last bite was devoured, Lizzo raised her wig with a toast. To the golden grease pit, we may be stuck in the middle of nowhere, but we are nowhere finest. The storm cleared, leaving a rainbow over the parking lot. Somewhere a rooster crowed. And in Seven Sisters, Texas, the legend of Lizzo, the lot lizard queen, queen of the truck, got a little bigger. And wings. Legend says that they were still on the menu 20 years later. Just try not to eat the bone. What's up, Jeb? How are you, buddy? Boondock, how are you, my friend? Oh, fuck. Thank you, Allah. Thank you, Jess. It was a delicious story, wasn't it? Cooking up a 12-foot chicken? Shit. Oh, yeah. Let me find that. Here you go. Where is it? Conscious. This one's for you, Conscious Wanderer, because you asked about it. I hope you're listening. Stop typing and listen, Conscious. Working 30 years as a police officer, I've seen a lot of weird paranormal stuff can't be explained. There are so many caves along the Rio Grande River that have not been explored. There are also a lot of irrigation channels that are unkept. These channels are strategically placed throughout the valley along the border in case Falcon Dam and Alds Dam overflow. Inside these channels are huge underground man made ducts that look like apartments. Some have 12-foot ceilings, and some have tunnels that lead to other rooms. I guess this would sort out the water overflow to different canals. Damn it. I saw several dead bodies, one decapitated, some bound, some partially eaten by unknown types of wildlife. It didn't reach the media, but at one time there were about 12 homicides. Same MO, bound feet upside down from trees, degutted, intestine, heart, liver, stomach set aside in circles like rituals. They were supposedly drifters, but some of the corpses didn't even look human, and some were found by exploring kids inside these ducks. I could have sworn that one I saw on Smyrn and Cherry Road had broken off wings. This happened in the late 80s. I wish I had pictures to show, but yeah, it may have been a humanoid or gargoyle offspring. I'm not sure. I once saw one leap 30 feet across the road on all fours. It then stood up like a man. It was slender, hairy, about 5 feet tall, and stared at me in my police car. I stepped out and kept it at gunpoint for a few seconds. I didn't know what it was. It resembled a human, but leapt like a cat. It then jumped about 20 feet high into the tree. I was a rookie at 87, and I chased it. I tracked it and found its foot sign. It was like a human elongated foot with paws. There are sightings on another road south 2 miles of Mission. Crazy, I saw another one of these creatures in Roman Bluff. I was on a special assignment with a border patrol, hunkered down with my M4 rifle. I had to piss. I found an isolated spot and was uphill on a boulder just upriver from the Roman Port entry. I thought my piss was falling in the garden. The hose had been moved. It scared the crap out of me. I swung around my M4. I had been waiting for a dope crossing, but this was too weird. As I hand motioned my partner to watch my six, I went down to look. The same frickin' type of human like cat creature peeked out from behind a boulder. It was 10 feet in front of me. I froze, but I yelled at it. Go down, asshole. It did not respond, but then stared at me, looked away, leapt 30 feet into the brush. Of course, I chased it again, but my partner saw it too. We called our team downslope to be on. Damn it, I'm sorry, guys. Downslope to be on the lookout. As soon as we called them, I ran past them. They couldn't make out its face, but it was the same creature. Yeah, I do believe that there are supernatural creatures out there. They are very real, but you just got time to see them. Thank you, 59. Ooh, I've never had an Australian crawler before, but we got one. Fuck. I don't sleep with curtains open because of crawlers. I'm a grown ass woman now, and I still can't sleep at night with the curtains open. In fact, when I moved into my current house, I installed dual curtain rods so that even if my light blocked curtains only, or my light blocking curtains are open, if it was the same one, they were all seen at different locations. It's been years since I saw one, but it still feels like they are the same creature, or at least they knew me. First time, I was a very small child, perhaps four, maybe five. My house was an old style flood house. So it was technically 2 stories tall, but under the house was where we kept the car and our laundry room. Upstairs was where the living room were. We were we were one of the only houses there. It was it was early days only there. It was in the early days of the town, and there were only a few other houses on the cul-de-sac. The back of our property was maybe 500 meters from the ocean, but you couldn't see it or hear the coastline from the house. There were some light rainforests surrounding the fully fenced house. My bedroom faced the back of the property. I woke up one night, which was not unusual for me because I'm a very light sleeper. This night, my parents had not closed my curtains. When I looked towards my window, I could see it. Keep in mind, I'm on the second floor. It was looking through my window. I couldn't see much. The only light was coming from the outside, but I could see its silhouette of its body. It was pale and thin, but still the frame of the creature was huge, easily 2 meters tall. It was hanging off the roof, holding on the frame by my window. And even though I couldn't see its face, I just knew it was looking at me. I was terrified. It's almost been 2 decades since I first saw it, but I still remember the intense fear I felt. It took me so much courage to get out of bed and walk towards my parents' room, where I finally fell back to sleep. My parents told me it was just a dream. The next time I remember seeing it, I was probably 7 or so. I had moved houses probably a few months before, and my new house, about a 16-hour drive from the old place, was a single-story home, but still on the coast of the country. It was a lot further from the ocean, about 5 kilometers, but very much the same kind of area. We were one of the only houses in that area, and I had no neighbors. I woke up one night because I had heard something hanging against the metal fence. In Australia, we have a brand that makes fences and roofs out of corrugated metal that's been painted. They are quite common, 6 foot high, uh, cream colored metal fences, and they make the unmistakable noise when someone or something hits them. I have no idea how anything could climb one of these fences. They are completely smooth with nothing to grab on. Even in my teens, I tried sneaking out by jumping the fence and slid right down. At first, when I woke up, I thought some birds may have landed on the fence, but the noise continued for a longer. My next thought was that someone was trying to break into our house. I turned over in bed to face the window and saw it. Well, I actually didn't see it at first. It was very dark out, and I don't remember much of the moon. As my eyes adjusted, I could only just make out the figure hunched down in front of my window. Even in even in the hunched down posture, it was still huge. This time, I did not run to my parents' room. Their bedroom was no longer across the hall. It was all the way on the opposite side of the house. And I'd have to pass so many uncovered windows to get there. I don't remember when I fell asleep. I eventually woke up the morning. Once again, my parents told me I must have been dreaming. However, from then on, they always came into my bedroom and closed my blinds. The next time I saw it, I was 9. I know I was 9 because I had just moved schools and made friends with a girl. We'll call her Casey. She invited me to stay at her house one night, and I was so excited. She was the first friend I had made since moving schools, and it had been ages since I had gotten to have a sleepover. Everything was great. The night was perfectly natural, and I woke up in the middle of the night hearing Casey crying. I sat up in the bed and asked what was wrong. She pointed toward the window, where I saw the thing again. Unfortunately for me, Casey had the nightlight, and I could see much more of the creature than I ever had before. It looked so crusty and dry. It was almost totally white, devoid of any really identifying features, except that it was staring at us and its mouth was agape. Casey's window was small and it had to hunch down to see us. We both got up and tried to run and cry and call for her mom. She turned on the outside light and brought us back inside the room, pointed out the large gum tree outside the window, and tried to explain that's what we saw. We argued with her. The thing we saw had red eyes against the window, not several meters away. And it wasn't to the left, it was to the right. Casey's mom eventually let us sleep on the couch. Stayed at my house. When I woke up that morning, Casey was gone. I asked my parents, and they told me Casey had gotten up in the night and started crying, begging to go home. When I saw her again at school on Monday, she told me she had gotten up to go to the bathroom. And when she was walking past the lounge room, she could see a tall, skinny monster. Ugh, damn it, my eyes keep on adjusting. I'm sorry. Crawling through the trees at the bottom of the backyard. She never came to my house again, and I lost touch with her after moving schools. I don't know what it was that we saw. I can't, it couldn't have been sleep paralysis. I was able to move and speak, and it was not a dream because someone else had seen it. I don't know if this relates in any way, but when my partner moved into my house a few months ago, he opened the curtains one night before bed. This time it was a full moon. I had already fallen asleep. I'm now living on this 2-story house with 2 bedrooms. I wake up in the middle of the night. My partner, my current partner is getting up, closing the curtains. When I asked him why, he told me he had a nightmare of a tall, skinny, white-looking man clinging to the roof like a spider, peering into the window. He said it must have been a hallucination. And when he got up from the bed, it jumped onto the roof. I still haven't told him, but his description of what we saw is actually the description of what I first saw. Only now I'm living in a busy neighborhood with plenty of houses, unlike past experiences where I've already been in one house on the block surrounded by forests. I've heard mimicking many times, but I have always been drawn into the imagination. Sometimes I will hear my partner walk into a room and say hello at night, but when I roll over to see the light coming down the hallway, I realize he is in the lounge room or on the computer. I've heard my mom's voice a few times. Thought about my childhood in many homes I've lived in. We've had issues with dogs barking, but had nothing. Security motions turning on, randomly coming on at night. Um, I can't see. Dude, I am so beat right now. Holy shit. I am so sorry. Oh. All right. Time is it? I'm going to do this last experience, a Lizzo experience, and then one more experience, and then the live stream, because I cannot even keep my eyes open right now. I'm hurting. Oh. Today I had a very creepy experience on my way to work in the morning. I normally don't believe in supernatural stuff, but I'll be damned if that was just not a normal animal. On my way to work, I often use a small road through a densely wooded area. It is a pretty long, pretty straight road. I left home at around 4:30. I was driving, minding my own business, and slowly waking up completely when I suddenly noticed what I thought was a very large gray dog sitting next to the road. As it was still dark, I couldn't make out its full detail. I slowed down just in case it started to run across the road. I couldn't make out its full detail. So I slowed down in case it started the road. It got closer to the headlights to capture it. It just stood there calmly. Then it retreated into the bushes. But as soon as it stood up, very clear that this was no normal dog. It was Larry Lindman. Thank you. So holy shit. Thank you so much, Larry Lindman. Wow. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. My sock came off. Oh my God, Aramic. Larry, thank you so much, brother. Wow, that's a lot of people. I know, 59. Here's to you, Larry. Oh, all right. But as soon as it stood up, it was very clear that this was no normal dog. It was huge, bear size at least, or even bigger, I'd say. Shorter hind legs, very muscular front, a weird long snout, pointed ears, and a bushy tail. It walked almost like some sort of hyena, but on all fours. Big predators are very rare in this area. And if there is a sighting about every 2 or 3 years, it is only a lone wolf or a very rare bear wandering through. This stretch of the road has always given me the creeps. But now the fear has a face. One thing I had noticed the last few days was that there were no other animals around. Normally there are deer, fox, or if I get lucky, even a badger. Nothing this week, not even a bird. There had also been some reports of missing livestock. 2 sheep went missing last week, and yesterday a horse was lost. It was later found brutally ripped apart and partially consumed. I don't know if this unknown canine creature was responsible for that, but I highly suspect it was. Oh, I gotta change these. Hang on. Maybe that's the issue. Oh, there, that's a little better. Larry, thank you so much, buddy. Oh, now I'm getting cold. All right. Here's the last Lizzo story of the night, guys. And this one's good. This one's really good. It's titled, I even titled this one because I was so happy. No, I did not know that, Miss Sunshine. That's crazy. X Files is no shit. Yeah, I did know that. I remember watching when it first came out, and I watched the first X Files, and I was like, dude, I love this show. I'm definitely gonna. I'm actually gonna use the my what are they called, the where it puts the hot steam in your room. All right, here we go. The neon sign at Earl's All Night Diner sputtered like a dying firefly, casting a pinkish hue over the gravel lot where semis lined up like sleeping dinosaurs. It was 2:17 a.m., the sacred witching hour of long-hauled truckers, runaway dreamers, and more importantly, the undisputed realm of Lizzo, self-proclaimed lot lizard queen. Lizzo was not just a working girl. No, ma'am. She was a vision. 5 foot nothing of sequined sass and high heeled boots that could knock a man out with one stiletto to the jaw. Her crew, Stotzi, a high on life brunette who swore by cinnamon flavored lip gloss, Bernice, the ex nun, with a killer knife skill, and a soft spot for gospel karaoke, plus 10 other truck stop sirens, ruled the parking lot with charm, chaos, and a rotating credit card scam system they'd perfected over the years. Inside the diner buzzed with the usual suspects: Earl, the grease stained owner of the comb over, and a heart of gold and a mild hemorrhoid, flipped pancakes while humming Sweet Caroline. Dave the trucker, with a handlebar mustache so lush it had its own fan club, played chess with Buster, his emotional support chihuahua, wearing a tiny helmet. Then the silence hit. Not the peaceful kind, the wrong kind, like when your phone dies mid text with your ex. Outside the rumble wasn't an engine noise, it was silence. A whole fleet of motorcycles rolled in, 5 chrome beasts, each piloted by a black and white striped figure with red lips painted in the permanent frown. Mimes on Harleys. Lizzo, sipping her third espresso martini of the night, froze. Oh, hell no, not them, Stotzi replied, reapplying her lip gloss in a toaster's reflective side. Evil mimes, Bernice whispered, clutching her rosary. I read about them on the dark web. They don't speak, they mime, but their intentions are loud. The bikers dismounted in slow, exaggerated motions, zipping invisible zippers, pushing against invisible walls, trapping invisible friends in invisible boxes. One, clearly the leader, taller, with a single black tear painted under his left eye, pointed at Earl's diner. Then he mimed pulling down his pants and flushing himself down a toilet. An insult was clear. The horror was real. Lizzo slammed her drink down. Nobody disrespects Earl's plumbing and lives. The storm outside. She stormed outside, her crew trailing behind her like a glittery arm of vengeance. Earl followed, holding a spatula like Excalibur. Dave arrived with Buster in his leather vest, the chihuahua growling like a demon possessed in a teacup. Y'all see this? Lizzo yelled, arms wide. This is our lot, our diner, our 24-hour tater tots. The mimes, once again, said nothing. They never do. But the leader stepped forward, mimed a crown being placed on his head, and knocked it off with a dramatic shrug. He pointed at Lizzo, mimed slapping her, then mimed her crawling on her hands and knees, scrubbing the floor. Gasps. Did he just challenge me to a gang fight? Lizzo asked. Pretty sure, Dave said. He just declared war on your royal ass. And so it began. The fight was brutal and absurd. Stassi lunged first, swinging her heel like a medieval mace. But one mime caught it midair, miming trying to get her shoelaces forever. And she went spinning in the dumpster. Bernice went full exorcist mode, hurling holy water, aka pickled juice, from the relish bar, but a mime blocked it with an invisible shield, then mimed her singing in a choir. She immediately belted out Amazing Grace, unable to stop. Dave tried to fight with logic. You know, mimes aren't even real performers, right? They're just sad clowns with identity issues. But the mimes didn't care. One grabbed his mustache, mimed yanking it out by the roots, and Dave collapsed, weeping. Earl charged with his spatula, flipping pancakes mid-swing. He got two mimes, but the leader pulled out an invisible whip and cracked it across Dave's chest. The man dropped, muttered, I shouldn't have skipped leg day. Buster tried to help. He barked at the mime's boot, only for the mime to mimic being bit, then collapsed dramatically, clutching his ankle. Then, horror of horrors, he mimed calling a invisible ambulance. There were other mimes lifted into the invisible stretcher and carrying him somewhere over the rainbow played. Lizzo fought like a goddess possessed. She twerked so hard it created a small windstorm, knocking two mimes off their feet. She spit a glitter bomb at another, a move she developed in the 2009 during the labor dispute in Biloxi. But the leader, he was the master. He dodged. He mimed a boxing match with an invisible opponent. Lizzo, somehow compelled, mirrored his punches in the air. Then the mime threw an invisible punch, and Lizzo felt it, a sharp pain in her gut. She doubled over. The leader pointed to the sky. They mimed a clock spinning fast. Then he pointed at the mime gang bikes. They then pointed Lizzo's crew. Then he mimed scrubbing. He wants us to wash the bikes, Stassi groaned. And cook 'em all a dinner, Bernice added, wiping pickle juice from her eyebrow. Look, he's miming pancakes, scrambled eggs, and oh God, grape jelly on white toast. Lizzo, still on her knees, glared. We are lot lizards. We negotiate. We seduce. We exploit weak credit scores. But we do not serve evil mute performance artists. But the mimes just stood there, silent, unblinking. One beginning to mime a soap bubble floating, another mimed balancing on a tightrope. Psychological warfare was unbearable. They had no choice. For the next in shame, Stassi, in a helmet and apron that read, I love trucker tips. Flipping pancakes with enthusiasm of the condemned prisoner, Bernice, with tears in her eyes, refilled the coffee. Lizzo herself was assigned to the motorcycle spot. Kneeling in the gravel, she wiped down the handlebar with a rag so small it might have been used to clean a baby's high chair. You're enjoying this, aren't you? She hissed at the leader. He didn't answer. Of course not. He's a mime. But he mimed sipping tea with a pinky out. Then he mimed giving her a gold star. She flipped him off. He mimed catching the gesture, putting it in the jar, and sealing it. The sun rose. The mimes had already eaten 3 breakfasts, had their bikes buffed to mirror finish, and enjoyed a brief mime interpretive dance. Then, as sudden as they came, they left. No wave, no nod, just revved engines. Pulled exaggeration. Driving with no hands, posses rode off in the morning fog, leaving behind only silence. A single perfectly drawn chalk mime box on the pavement. Everyone just stood there, shell-shocked. Tony, happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday to you. I cannot sing tonight. I am so sorry. All right. Last experience of the night, guys. I am so sorry. I am tired. A memory from when I was like 3. I remember lying down while my mom changed my brother's diaper, and there were several very tall, translucent blue humanoid creatures with glowing orange centers in their head. They had humanoid figure, but lacked any human features, no faces or anything of the like, and if anything had body shape more akin to a Gumby than a human, it was this. Memory of it was vague, but I do recall that imaginary pretty clear, imagery pretty clear. It was like they had bodies made of water, the way they reflected and shimmered. That said, thinking back, I don't think they had any connection to water. I might be wrong. Just the best way I can describe it. The rest of the men were a blur, but at one point I apparently drew a picture of them looming over my baby brother and I in crayon. It scared my mom pretty severely with how constantly I would describe these water people, as I called them. And it all ended abruptly when I said they were visiting again. My mother called my grandfather, who was a practicing priest. They left as he was on his way, and as far as the mother recounts, I never spoke of these creatures again, nor do I remember them ever returning. Not sure if they retreated at all. It's one of the earliest memories, and maybe I was just young and seeing things. But I was wondering if anyone else has seen these tall, like water beings. They sound like Glimmerman to me. Ugh. All right, guys, I am so sorry. I am drained. I cannot do anymore. I'm beat. I am so beat right now. Well, a skinwalker. Thanks, Gregors. A skinwalker is a shaman first and foremost. So that can shapeshift, but a shapeshifter is a shapeshifter. So I would say a skinwalker would be much worse than a regular shapeshifter because they have like black magic behind them. But anyway, I apologize for being so sick tonight. I tried, I really did. I'm sorry. So, all right. I'll see you guys next week. Next week for the live stream. And thank you all. Pups, thank you. Guys, have a good night. Thank you for spending your Saturday with me. I wish it was better. All right. I love you all. Signing off.